trip. Actually, let's take a pause for Gordon real quick and head back to the Pentagon. I'm being told now that General Ryder is speaking about that. Let's listen in.
The Secretary looks forward to discussing bilateral defense cooperation and our mutual security efforts within the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. A full readout of the engagement will post later today to defense.gov. And with that, we'll go ahead and move to your questions. We'll start with AP. Tara Kopp.
Hi, Pat. Thank you for doing this. China has said this is just a weather balloon that has veered off course. Why is the Pentagon convinced that this is a surveillance balloon? And then can you give us a little bit more on the status of the balloon? You said it's in the central U.S. What state? Do you have any guidance for people as they see this balloon, or they're trying to photograph it, or maybe try and interfere with it?
Sure. Thanks, Tara. So, first of all, we are aware of the PRC's statement. However, the fact is we know that it's a surveillance balloon, and I'm not going to be able to be more specific than that. We do know that the balloon has violated U.S. airspace and international law, which is unacceptable. And so we've conveyed this directly to the PRC at multiple levels. And in terms of specific locations, I'm not going to be able to go into specific locations, again, other than to say it's moving eastward at this time. Yeah, you had a follow-up?
Well, just a quick follow-up on, as people start to see the balloon, do you have any guidance for, should they try not to interfere, not photograph?
So the balloon is currently assessed to be at about 60,000 feet. So again, well above the range of civilian air traffic, or where civilian air traffic would normally fly. Certainly aware that there are cameras, civilian-owned commercial cameras that could spot this balloon. In terms of guidance to folks, again, this is something that NORAD is closely monitoring. We do assess at this time that it does not pose a physical threat, as I mentioned, to people on the ground. So we'll just leave it at that. Jennifer.
General Ryder, who is controlling this balloon right now?
Again, we know that this is a Chinese balloon, but beyond that, I'm not going to have specifics.
But is it? You say that it's moving eastward and it's over the continental U.S. It's not over Montana anymore. Is the Chinese government controlling the movement of the balloon, or is it just floating with airstreams?
Thanks, Jennifer. So I'm not going to go into any specific intelligence that we may have. Again, we know this is a Chinese balloon and that it has the ability to maneuver, but I'll just leave it at that.
And once it's over a body of water, will you shoot it down?
Again, right now we're monitoring the situation closely, reviewing options, but beyond that, I'm not going to have any additional information. We go to Tony.
One quickie on the balloon. Can you confirm the photos that are out there that this is not the man in the moon and that is the actual balloon?
Thanks, Tony. So certainly aware of photos being posted online. I'm not going to get into the business of confirming whether or not those are, where those photos come from. Again, I can tell you that the U.S. government, NORAD, is monitoring this closely, and we will continue to review options.
How close was the U.S. to was the president to ordering a shoot down of the balloon?
Yeah, so again, I'm not going to get into internal discussions within the White House. Again, right now we assess that there is no threat, a physical threat or military threat to people on the ground. So we're continuing to monitor, and we'll just leave it at that. Thank you. Let me go to Janie, and then we'll go to Rio.
Thanks, General. Welcome to home. I have two questions. Please come on. Okay. In response to Secretary Austin's recent remarks that more U.S. strategic assets will come to the South Korea, North Korea warned of stronger provocations in the near future. What is your comment on this?
Well, it's certainly not surprising given North Korea's track record of making bellicose statements. Again, what we're focused on is on preserving peace, security, and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. And so Secretary Austin's visit was an opportunity to, again, reaffirm our strong and close alliance with the Republic of Korea. And so that will remain our focus, is on working with South Korea and other nations in the region to deter aggression and ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific.
One more. South Korea has announced that it will be test the high-powered monster ballistic missile with nuclear warhead level. this is a defense against North Korea's nuclear warhead. How do you agree this?
I'm sorry, Jane, I missed the first part of your question. Can you repeat that?
South Korea has announced that it will be test a high-powered monster ballistic missile with nuclear warhead levels. This is the defense against.
I don't
All right, so we've been listening to this briefing at the Pentagon with General Ryder there, the spokesperson, talking about this balloon that's been floating over Montana. He says NORAD is closely monitoring the situation, also saying that no one on the ground is in any physical danger. There's a disagreement over what this balloon is actually doing. The Chinese say it's a weather balloon. The U.S. government believes it's some sort of spy balloon that has violated U.S. airspace, but not a lot of new information other than that. We'll continue to monitor the press briefing. And let's get back now to Gordon Chang. Also want to welcome in Newsmax foreign policy analyst Dr. Walid Phares joining us as well. Great to have you with us, Dr. Phares. Gordon, going back to you, wanted to get your response real quick to what we heard from the general there. Not a lot of information, and the key question we were talking about before, no real answer as to why they didn't shoot it down.
Yes, the most important thing that General Ryder said was that the Chinese have the capability to maneuver this balloon, which means that they could have prevented this from violating Canadian airspace and our airspace, but they obviously did not do so. This is not a question of the safety of people on the ground primarily. This is a question of reputation and what the Chinese are thinking. And because of that, I do believe that we need to bring this balloon down in a safe manner, of course, but we need to bring it down to show Beijing that we will not tolerate a violation of our airspace, which could very well be an act of war as well.
And, we did hear that this is a violation of airspace that was clearly articulated moments ago at that podium. Dr. Phares, we're at odds here because China put out a message today saying that they are a responsible country that always abides by international law, claiming it was a weather balloon. And we just heard moments ago from Pat Ryder, fact is we know it is surveillance. Blinken's not going, but we are at odds now. This is another, already strained relations here with China.
Very strained relations with China. I will focus first on the Chinese strategic intentions. In the beginning, stage A, what was the design of the mission for that balloon? We need to get that information from the Chinese, if they will ever share. Second, and very important, where did they lose the control? Because now we have a debate. Did they lose the control or didn't lose the control? That's something we don't have a clear answer. And thirdly, very importantly, when they lost the control or did not follow the right norms of international relations, did they inform the American government? Were there communications between our commands and the Chinese authorities to determine the future of that journey? All of these questions so far are not answered. And therefore, when it comes to shooting it down or not, what does the White House have in terms of information? They should tell the public where and if they will be able to take action against it.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your insights on this. We'll continue to monitor the press briefing and, of course, the balloon. We'll have more on this throughout this program as well as throughout the day here on Newsmax and on Newsmax.com as well. Our thanks to Gordon Chang and Dr. Walid Phares.
Thanks, gentlemen.